Hello everyone and welcome back to the CPRW podcast. My name is Colin. I do Colin's Punk Rock World and CPRW Records. Today I am joined by Chris, who also known as Vinyl Systems on Instagram, Lara, also known as Lara.robs on Instagram, and my good friend Matt from the best punk blog in the country, Ear Nutrition. And today we are going to talk about vinyl records and why we love them so much. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves proper?
Who'd like to go first? Me?
Go for
it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm Lara. I am in Wales and in the UK, and yeah, I've been collecting records for a little while, but it's kind of gone a bit mad over on Instagram over the last few months because we've been in lockdown. So I've been posting more of my records, and since then, loads of people have been kind of getting in touch about doing like podcasts and stuff. So I guess I collect records. That's the thing that I do at the moment. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Matt. I run Ear Nutrition when I get a minute, which is not often. Same with me really. I've started posting a lot more vinyl on Instagram just because I've been buying a lot more. So yeah. It's one of those things. The first lockdown didn't really have any money because I didn't have a job and everything. But now I've been earning and saving. I can actually buy a few records now, and Bandcamp Fridays are increasing my personal deficit considerably. But yeah, no, that's why I'm here. Other than, yeah, carry on.
Hi, I'm Chris. I live in southeast London, not far from Colin's favourite New Cross Inn. I collect a lot of records. I have been done so for many years, since I was a kid, and I post a lot of them on Instagram with the username vinyl.systems.
Right, cool. Before we get really going, I just want to say myself and Matt have both written articles for the second Shout Louder paper cut zine, which features articles from people like bands such as Random Hand, Faintest Idea, Sunliner, TNS Records, The Raging Nathans, KTMF, Call Me Malcolm, Mackie Hall, Chris from Warrington Scarpunk, and loads more. That's all. If you just put in Shout Louder on Facebook, you'll come across that, and I have all the details, and all the money made from that zine is also going towards Music Venue Trust. So that's obviously a very important and great organisation. So please check that out. Cheers. Right. So again, before we actually start proper, what have you all been listening to during lockdown?
I've been going back. I've been listening a lot to stuff I used to listen to when I was younger. So I've been going back into. I've been listening to a lot of like Newfound Glory and old Green Day stuff, and kind of going from there. I haven't really been listening to a lot of newer stuff. I don't know whether it's because like it makes me feel better because I'm feeling a bit bummed out about the whole lockdown thing. And I think from what I've listened to with the other podcasts that you've done and a few others I've listened to, I think a few people are kind of feeling the same way. It's kind of taking me, like this nostalgia's taking me back a little bit to kind of an easier time in my life maybe, and taking me away from feeling like, I don't know, kind of stuck in this bit of a, I mean, Wales are out of the lockdown at the moment, but you know, I'm still stuck in Wales. I can't really go anywhere. So it kind of feel, yeah, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better, I think. It takes me back to an easier time.
Familiarity, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Omar in the first podcast described it as like comfort listening.
Yeah, that would be it. I think that's it. Yeah. That's the one. Okay. And it's helped as well with like a lot of bands bringing out the reissue. So like Less Than Jake bringing out the UK press of Anthem and things. So that's kind of, I've bought the new vinyls, but it's still the old music I'd listen to. So that's been a really nice extra for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm never far away from nostalgia. You know, you can never go wrong with your old favourites. Like mine are going back to when I was a teenager, when I was listening to Leatherface and Snuff and bands like that. You know, like the early '90s. You know, they are classics for me. But in turn, like what I've been buying though is a lot of new stuff. You know, there's a lot of bands at the moment that are trying to put out records in, you know, obviously really difficult times, and the stuff that I've bought this year is stuff that's all new. I haven't gone to any back catalogue stuff at all, so I'm kind of pleased with myself that I've been able to do that a little bit, I think.
Great. Matt?
It's difficult for me to answer that question, to be honest, because I write, I'm writing 3 or 4 times a week. I'm doing, trying to maintain my playlists and stuff for the other parts of the week where I've got some free time. So a lot of the stuff I listen to is generally just the stuff I get sent, or when I'm going through the email box, screening stuff out, or like the yes pile, the no pile, the maybe pile. I'll contact them. I'll do this. I'll do that. Yeah, and then I've bought my vinyl collection has increased exponentially since I've been a bit more financially viable again, which is nice. Not for the wallet, but for me anyway. So a lot of releases this year that I've worked on, I've ended up buying, and stuff that I worked with labels on, like pre-release streams and pre-release reviews and stuff. So sometimes I end up buying them. Sometimes I get sent the free one. So a lot of it's stuff I work on really. Out of writing and stuff and records, it's generally just going through the classics that I own. A lot of what I own is contemporary stuff within the last 5 years, and a lot of very recent. Obviously I've got I had Everything Sucks by Descendants on yesterday, for example.
Classic.
And I went through, interestingly, speaking to Omar after your last the other podcast. We were chatting for a couple of days afterwards, and we were actually listening to the same sort of stuff at the same sort of time. Like we were both into like Dag Nasty and Minor Threat and that sort of stuff. And I've got a few Dag Nasty LPs, so I was listening to a lot of that. Because I think I just heard a band that I think I compared a couple of hardcore bands that had that kind of Brian Baker style melodic guitar going through it, and then I just started ploughing through all Brian Baker stuff, and I've got a lot of Bad Religion records, so it's funny what you get spun on. But yeah, generally just normal me stuff. Where I work, at the bar I normally work in, we play a lot of hip hop stuff, so I put a lot of sort of more political stuff like Run the Jewels and the Coup and stuff. But when I'm walking around, it's generally skate punk or hardcore because I need to get somewhere quickly.
Yeah.
So it needs to be like out of there.
Solid. All right, and what was the last gig you all went to?
It was the Mandatory Preachers we went to in Cardiff Castle last year, and then a few weeks before that we came back from Punk in Drublic out in France. So that was cool. We saw a lot of bands that we had already seen, loads of like Less Than Jake and like seen Bad Religion, No Effects, like loads, countless of times. But we actually went out there to watch the Bomb Pops because we kind of discovered them the year before and we really wanted to see them. And I couldn't make any of the UK Slam Dunk dates because I was working a festival at the time. So we had to go out to Angoulême in France. That was kind of the nearest, like, next option to go to the Punk in Drublic festival. So, and we just bought the tickets purely to see the Bomb Pops.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and we ended up kind of seeing all these other awesome bands. And we actually first heard the Dead Krazukis there as well. They were on first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were also really good. Yeah, so those were the last two we went to. It was a long time ago, and I've had some lined up this year. Obviously, they've all been rescheduled. So fingers crossed. Like next year, we can kind of catch up on everything. Yeah.
Cool. I don't expect I'm going to sleep next year if things are actually going to get fixed again.
Right, I know.
Yeah, but mine was the same as you. Maybe not the same as you, Colin, but I know you were there. We didn't see it. Was the Bad Cop.
Oh yeah.
Make War at New Cross Inn. It was absolutely packed. So
Yeah.
Cross, but I'm fairly certain that was my last one. I remember one of the guys referencing actually the coronavirus because he was drinking Corona and he was saying,
Oh,
I remember that.
People in America think that this gives you Corona.
That was crazy busy, that gig. That was, I guess, Wonk Unit were playing, weren't they? And obviously South London, Lewisham.
Yeah. And Billy Lara, I think he opened it as well, didn't he? I wasn't even there in time for him. And then by the time I got there, it was Wonk Unit, and they packed it out, obviously, because all their guys are there. And yeah, it was packed. It was a great gig, though.
Yeah, it was great fun. Bad Cop really impressed me. I like them, but I'd never properly seen them live.
Oh, they were good live, actually. I saw them at Rebellion many years ago, and they were pretty good. Yeah,
they blew me away. I haven't checked out their album properly, like the new one they've released off the back of that tour. But
yeah, that was supposed to be released, wasn't it, on those dates? I think in Europe.
Yeah,
it was that. It was nothing to do with COVID, I don't think. But yeah,
it's not bad. Matt, what was your last gig?
Do you know what? I've had such a interesting year. I know a lot of people have. But I'm not sure. I think I've forgotten. I think the last big one I went to was obviously the one last time I saw you, so at the New Cross Inn, which is the first time I'd ever been there that weekend.
Yeah.
My New Cross virginity gone. I think I probably I think I went to a couple at the Exchange in Bristol.
Okay, yeah.
which is obviously like my version of Living
Yeah.
Cross for you.
I've been there. It's magic. I love it there.
Yeah, 10 minutes over, because obviously I live in Bath, which I forgot to say earlier. So it's 10 minutes on a train. I think it was, because they've got 2 stages now. They've got like the normal stage and they've got a downstairs one.
Yeah.
The downstairs one's proper cool, but you can only get about 50 people in there. So you get these small little gigs with about, 15, 20, 30 people in there. And it's just nice and cool, because you can all crowd round. And I think it might have been Lesser Known Character and a band called The New America, possibly Sick Ones. I saw a few bands earlier in that year, and I think it was around then. But I don't remember, because my brain's been shot this year, unfortunately.
It's there. Okay, they're the questions we ask every episode, apart from maybe not last time. Who remembers? So the main topic on this episode is going to be vinyl. So I've written out some questions, and so just as like topic pieces we're going to touch on and see how this goes. Right. So when did you all start collecting, and why?
I can't remember exactly when it was. It's probably at some time in the last, maybe, I don't know, like 6-7 years, maybe. I remember why. I have you seen the film Ghost World?
No.
It was off. Oh, it's awesome. It was off the back of watching that. So I watched that, and I thought the idea of kind of like finding an old record and playing it. I don't know. I just really kind of fell in love with the idea of like finding an old record that you haven't heard of and playing it at home, and then we just kind of started from there. But I kind of carried on doing it because it sounds really pretentious, but I like the different sound that it gave from like a CD or streaming or whatever. Yeah, and then also like the artwork that comes along with it. I know it's usually the same as the CD, but obviously it's a lot bigger, so you can kind of see it better. But I feel like you're getting a better package and a better deal, like with the records, and also like the process of it, like having to put it on, and like having to sit down and take the time, because it's not easy to skip the tracks on it like it is with a CD or whatever. And you have to kind of carefully choose what you want to listen to, sit down, put it on, listen to the whole thing, and it makes me anyway, sort of like really listen to the record, like the way it was recorded, the way it was meant to be listened to. So yeah, I think it's more like the process of it. You engage more, I think, with the record and with the artist. That's kind of what's kept me going with collecting anyway. Yeah,
I'd definitely agree about the artwork. That's like, again, I had a massive stack of CDs and had all the artwork. But then I started moving on to vinyl records, and it just made me appreciate it so much more.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I had a stack of vinyl from when I was a kid. So, when I was at school, shall we say? And I guess like CDs were around then, but for whatever reason, it's like Lara was saying, it's that sort of tactile and being able to have something really big physical in your hand that's looks great, putting it on the turntable, you listen to it like the band intended you to hear it, all that sort of thing. So I had a load from when I was younger, and then they all got put away for whatever reason. I think I was like moving flats and stuff, and they went up in the loft, and then a whole load of them ended up in a mate's garage at his flat and stuff. And I didn't have them for years. And then about, I don't know, I would say 10 years ago, my mate was selling his flat. That was it. He was selling his flat. And he said to me, "Oh, you know, all your records are still in my garage." And I was like, "Oh, Christ, I bet they're absolutely shagged now. I won't have packed them in a good box, and it'd be awful, and it would be heartbreaking to go and get them." But anyway, obviously I did, and I thought I'd turn up there, and this is going straight to the tip. And they were great. I'd had the foresight, amazingly, to actually put them in a decent plastic box that had kept them pretty well. And I thought, oh wow, okay, I can be one of these people that you read articles about in the Guardian about people getting nostalgic about vinyl, and that can be me again. I can start buying vinyl again. I didn't even have a record player or anything at the time, so I had to buy a new system and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as that happened, you get the bug again, and you kind of realize, oh wow, I really love having these big things on my turntable. It's a great sound. They're really tactile, like we say. It's they're great. I love them.
Yeah.
I, I think for me it was just the next logical step. I mean, I'd grown up with. I remember my dad and my parents still live in the house I grew up in, and I remember in the corner he had an old system. I never saw him use it, but I remember being little and asking him about it. Like, what does this bit do? What does that bit do? Blah blah blah. And then, like in my parents' bedroom and a couple other places, there was just stacks of old records, like old ones that he just not looked after or whatever, just sort of sat there. So they were always around. And then, you know, I actually started getting into vinyl before I even bought a streaming service account, because I just bought all my music on Bandcamp, downloaded it, or bought CDs. And then I was thinking about it before I went travelling about 5.5 years ago. And I went to live and work in Australia for a bit before I went through Asia. And I remember getting there and there was record shops fucking everywhere. And I lived on Smith Street in Melbourne, which is quite a famous place as it is. There's record shops everywhere, loads of cool bars. It's obviously what the Smith Street band are named after. Not a fan, but still. Yeah, so then I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I said, I'm going to start one when I get back. And then I kept going in all these record shops. Like, I'm going to have to do it. Little did I know, I did actually have 2 7-inches, one from a local band already here, and one from, I went to see Rise Against Anti-Flag about, it must have been 2009, and they gave out this Tour 7 of Sight Unseen and I'm So Sick of You on the back. And it's actually in really good condition because I lost it for fucking years. But I had those and I was walking through all these shops and I thought, bugger it, so I just started buying them. So I started my collection out in Australia. They had to be shipped back by ship while I was gallivanting through Asia. And I got back, didn't have a record player, bought a few more, waited about a month, got a job, bought a player, and then yeah, that's ever since. It's about 5-ish years, I would say.
Yeah, I've probably been. That's how long I've been collecting as well.
I think we started about the same time. I think we had this
conversation before. Because I sort of had a stack of CDs. I thought, no, I've got to stop buying CDs. I'm just gonna buy digital because room. Then I met Emma, my girlfriend, and she had like a record collection, and I was sort of around hers, and we sort of put a record, and I just like, this is so cool, like putting the whole like process of listening to a record. And then that Christmas I got a record player, and now I've spent most of my money on records.
Yeah.
Right. What's like, do you buy everything you like on vinyl, or do you just get special stuff, do you think?
It's hardly dependent on what mood I'm in.
Right.
Like, for example, you mentioned Dead Krasuki's earlier. I had that album early, but I had to sit on the review until, because the guy I was doing it through their PR guy, Nick. He was like, "Oh, can you put it out 3 days before?" I was like, "Yeah, fine." So I was sitting on this damn thing for ages, and I'd written it. But the moment I'd finished writing it, I just, without realising, I was on the Bandcamp anyway because I was embedding some tracks, and I just went and bought it. So because that was like an in-the-moment purchase for me. There's some stuff that I'll put in my Bandcamp wish list that I'll get another time. There's some stuff I'll keep an eye on. Like, I think, Chris, we were talking the other day about the No Fun at All Big Knockover reissue.
Yeah.
Well, I emailed the label whose name I can't pronounce, by the way. They haven't got anything back. But Paper and Plastic said they're going to post the After the Full record soon, which I'm really happy for because I've been trying to stay away from that album since the first time I listened to it, just so I could listen to it on vinyl. But yeah, so like, for example, I saw that No Fun at All pressing, and that's my favourite No Fun at All album. So I thought, well, I'm going to get that. So again, that was like, oh, there's 500 of these, 200 of these, 300 of these, whatever. So I just got the black one just because I didn't have as much money at the time. So again, that was because it was a band that I knew, an album that I knew. I thought I have to have that album because I love that album. And in some cases, it's like, you know, if it's a small band brings something out and I like them, then I'll buy it. Or if it's, you know, something I've reviewed that I've really enjoyed or featured or done the stream for, or a band I've interviewed or anything EN related, I'm quite likely to buy it if I enjoyed it. You know, I bought one recently that I did like an early stream for back in March. I only bought it a month ago.
Is that how we know if you're telling the truth with your reviews and if you've actually got the vinyl?
No, not at all. I don't. That's the thing. Like, the way I go about, a bit of a digression, but the way I go about the writing is that I'm constructive, but I'm nice about it. I'll tell you if something doesn't work, and I'll tell you if I don't like something. But I put it in such a way that it doesn't take away the enjoyment from reading it. It doesn't make me sound like a dick, and it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, but I can still make my point. There's some stuff which I'll review, and then I won't listen to it for an entire year, because I playing it to death, trying to work it out and articulate my feelings on it, won't touch it for ages. But there's some stuff that I will touch right away. So sometimes I'll buy it right away, sometimes I won't buy it for like a year, sometimes I'll review something, ignore it for 6 months because I'm just done with it, and then I'll hear it again, and then, oh, they've pressed a record. I'll look into that. Oh, that's cheap, I'll get that. So it varies on context and situation. I mean, it is definitely a problem. I don't know if I told you, Colin, but I've just entered my fourth, you know, those Neozilla crates, those like DJ crates you can carry around.
Yeah.
For me, that's a lot. But I've got 4 of those full. And the fourth crate territory was a bit of an eye opener for me.
Yeah, you can't buy everything, right? I mean,
No.
oh God, there is so much out there. You just can't buy everything. You know, it's crazy. Like I think with me, like I know like the pre-order stuff that I'm going to get, and you think, right, okay, well, obviously I can't really hear all of that album before I order it, but you normally know the band, or at least you've had a taster of them, so you get that sort of stuff. And then I find that no matter how much I think I know the punk scene, for example, you just don't. There are just thousands and thousands of bands out there that, you know, that the internet makes it so easy as well to find and listen to. So if you've got Spotify, you know, you can spend, you know, days and days and days just going through like different types of bands and thinking, my God, how don't I know these people? Like they've been around for like 10 years or whatever. How come I've never listened to these guys before? So you think, right, okay, what have they put out? Where can I get them? Do they have disco in the UK or Europe or whatever? And then you try and track them down and stuff. So yeah, it's just impossible to buy everything, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think as well with so many, especially, I don't know if it's like a relatively new thing the last year or so, but like it just seems like a band will even if it's just a reissue, but there's so many different variants as well. Like even if you just buy the record, there's like 10 versions of it that you could get, like color variant. It's crazy. I'll just buy what I like. Like you were saying, Matthew, as well, like sometimes it's like a spur of the moment thing. If it's something I really, really want, I will go and like look for it. But then if I'm just kind of like scrolling Discogs or whatever, if I'm in a record store and I just see something that's, I think if the cover looks pretty cool, I'll pick it up and buy it. Or if it's got a little, like I was at Kelly's Records in Cardiff last week or the week before, and I was scrolling through the 7-inches, and they just had like the price, and then they put emo or punk underneath it, and I was just going to pick up like £2-3 45s or whatever, just because it had the word emo next to the price. And I was like, well, it's £3, like even if it's shit, like it was £3, and I've got a new record to put in my collection, it's fine. But generally, unless I'm really into the band, like I won't go and just buy the whole discography. It'll just I'll just buy the one-off. Saying that, like I do have like Descendants is one of my favorite bands, but they do have like some questionable, like obviously there's this one, the Farsathon thing, which is like the right recording, and it's like obviously it's a bootleg, but it just sounds terrible, but I bought it just because it's just to go in the collection, you know?
I know exactly what you mean. It's like when you go record, found something, you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, I remember I was at All Ages Records in London.
That's where I got it from.
Oh, okay, come on. Yeah. It was the day before, a few hours before I was going to see Come Back Kid, Sick of It All and Cancer Bats together, which was just unbelievable. And I was unbelievably drunk as well, unfortunately. But yeah, and I bought a couple of things, and I saw like Delside by Stages in Faith, who are like quite a cool band. No one's really doing that kind of post-hardcore in this country at the moment, anyway, in my opinion. So I bought that, and then I saw Bad Religion's new album, and I was like, I've listened to it 100 times, but I'll get that. But sometimes I find I'll get some stuff, and some stuff I'll just see it and think, yeah, I'll grab that. But I've got a few like original and just mass-produced Red Hot Chili Peppers pressings, for example, because fuck it, Californication, I'll take that. Like, that's happened a few times to me.
Yeah.
I'm terrible for
sometimes just pick it up. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I'd say I'm terrible for like if we go like to All Ages or like another record store, or like I go in and have a plan of what I'm looking for. Then I'll flick through everything in the shop, regardless of how recently I've been in there, just in case, and then come out with sort of 5 things I wasn't planning on buying.
Oh yeah,
it's expensive.
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, I used to go to Specialist Subject in Bristol above the Exchange, and if I plan to go in there, that's the worst thing I can ever do, because I'll spend like 250 quid or something. I think I did once. But then if I don't plan to go somewhere, like it wasn't actually that much. I think it was 100 and something, but it felt more. I'll plan. That's a terrible idea. But if I go in on a whim, I'm much more controlled. I've noticed, and I've decided now that's what I'm going to do when everything goes back to normal. I'm not going to. If I'm in the city, I'll go and have a look. I won't.
I'll be scanning record shops.
But that's one of the reasons why I bought the crates that I bought, is so that it's like, well, I like being able to, I don't like having mine sideways, I like being able to see the full cover.
Okay, yeah.
So I can flip like I am shopping. So that's one of the reasons why I bought the crates. So the crates sit under my desk and under my TV and next to it. So when I get crate number 5, it's not a big flat. So I'll approach that problem.
Right, okay, Zoom is going to time us out in 5 minutes. So does anyone, Matt, you want to tell us about ear nutrition? Give us a quick advert before we have to start again.
Will the recording be accumulative?
Yeah, I've worked that out before. It's fine. Don't worry.
Okay, fine. Yeah, basically, I used to run a site called Musically Fresh years ago. Never liked the name, but it was my first inlay into sort of writing about bands and stuff. I did that for about 4 years. I kept it going when I was traveling in Australia, and then through Asia, obviously not. And then I was sat in an airport, in South Korean airport, with no sleep, thinking what I would do if I went out on my own. And I suddenly thought of the words e-nutrition, so I went through that. 8 months later? No, would have been about 9, 10 months later. I bought the domain, sorted it all out, then I released it all. Yeah, and I just write reviews, do interviews, do features, do like streams and stuff. I've got loads of Spotify playlists that are pretty agonising to take care of, but they're quite good fun. Yeah, like I said, like joking before we started recording, it's just me using lots of funny sounding language to describe things, really, and then waffling on a bit, but I enjoy it. Yeah, it's mainly punk stuff, generally leaning towards like skate punk and hardcore and stuff, but I'd say that's only about 2/3 of what I feature, whilst the other third, I do a lot of like progressive stuff, like post-rock and post-metal and prog, sort of alt-rock, grunge, sometimes stuff more towards metal, but not as often because I don't know as much about it. Yeah, just try and churn out as much as possible, really.
Yeah, and as I said at the start, for me, it's the best punk rock blog going around at the moment. Matt works really hard, and everyone should go check out Ear Nutrition.
Easy, I might blush, mate.
You are welcome. Right, we're wrapping up part 1, and we're back for part 2 in second. All right, welcome back to part 2 of the CPRW podcast. We're still talking about vinyl records. We were just talking about record shops. Do you have any favourites you like visiting?
We were just talking about all ages. That's definitely on my list.
I think that's probably a staple for all of us.
I think so, right? We went there.
I've already been there once. It was fantastic, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome, and it's always like I always have a really good time there. Like when I go record shopping, I find sometimes I used to find a lot when I first started. I was a bit intimidated sometimes going in because they're all different and you never really know where to start looking, and I don't want to kind of start like flicking through stuff and then move on and then think, oh, she doesn't really know what she's looking for, so she's just kind of dotting around. Do you know what I mean? So when I kind of went into all ages, I kind of had that feeling, but there wasn't any sort of like gatekeeping kind of vibes there at all, and it's always a warm welcome there. We went a few months. Yeah, we went a few months ago, and we were in London for a couple of days. We went to All Ages on the Friday, and they had Yellow and Bob the dogs in there. And I bought a load of stuff there, and Bob came up on the desk, and I was kind of like paying loads of attention to the dogs. And then I said I was going to come back the next day because I knew there was another record I wanted to get, but you know when you kind of want to think about it, but you already know that you're going to buy it, you don't really need to think about it, but you go away and then you come back anyway. And it was an Iron Chic record. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the second one. So I went back the next day, and because I said I was going to go back, they got the dogs ready for me in the back, so I had like my own an hour or so to myself with the dogs in the back of the shop, just like hanging out with Bob and Yellow. And it's just the service was amazing. It was so like It's such a friendly place, and there's always, I never leave empty-handed there. I think I spent close to about, I don't know, it was close to about £200 I think I spent there over the couple of days. I knew I was going to, so I kind of saved money for it. So that's definitely one of my favourites. But in Wales, there's one here in Swansea called Tangled Parrot, which actually started in Carmarthen, which is just up the road from Swansea. But they've kind of teamed up with a local coffee shop here called Alleyway Coffee. So it's like half coffee shop, half record store.
A lot of places are doing that now.
It's awesome. And there's Kelly's Records in Cardiff as well. They're great. They're massive. They're in Cardiff Market, take up about half the market. So that's awesome. They've always got really, really good singles there. So those are my 3 favourites, and it's always where in all of them I go to. There's always really good service, really nice people, and kind of any kind of concerns I've got about looking like I don't know what I'm doing. It's like they go instantly as soon as I start talking to the staff. So yeah, those are my 3 favourites.
All ages as well. They've just gone online, haven't they?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say about that actually, because he's he put a bit of a call out saying, he's put all this stuff on Big Cartel because obviously he needs to make money to pay for the premises.
Yeah.
And I did actually buy a couple of things on it the other day. I went on there and I thought if I see anything that he's got that I like, I'll get it. And I ended up with the new Kicked in the Teeth 7 Death Adventure, which the Kicked in the Teeth is so good. And then I ended up with Against the Grain, which is one of the Barrel albums I didn't have. He's got some good stuff on there.
I mean, he was starting from scratch as well, like building that site. So you just think, oh my God, if he's got to get that whole stock list onto that site, that is
that was going through my head as well when I saw him starting it. It's been there for ages.
Yeah, but if anyone wants to go on there now, like it'd be great if people could go on and help out.
He's got face masks and t-shirts, and I've got one of his slip mats and one of his face masks and stuff, and he's got all sorts on there.
The merch is really good. The hoodies and the t-shirts. I've got a couple of t-shirts and hoodies as well, and they're really good. They're really well priced as well. I couldn't believe when I went to the store to buy one. When he first brought the hoodie design out. I think it was about this time last year, and I went down to Camden. We were living up in mid Wales, so it was a bit of a trek. And we went over. We were going to London anyway, but I went to get the hoodie, and I just couldn't believe it was only like 25 quid or something. I thought, Jesus Christ, £25 for a hoodie. It's like
mad, isn't it?
So cheap. Yeah, it was amazing. So I bought a t-shirt as well. Yeah, really good. Yeah, and it's nice to support them as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because they do. Like you say, they do amazing service there. Like Nick, the owner's just the loveliest guy. So we need to support these people.
Absolutely.
Everyone go to Big Cartel and Final Ages Records and buy the stuff. Everyone.
Save some for me though.
Save some for Colin.
Yep. What other record shops are there in London, Chris? You probably know better than I do. Because
I tell you what, I wish I knew some hidden gems, but I'm ashamed to say I don't really. There's Banquet, obviously, in Kingston, which I think pretty much everyone knows.
Pretty well known, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're great because they get a lot of indie variants and stuff. So, yeah, they're really good. I think it's Max there that runs their online stuff. If you're not near, you can get stuff through him. He's really good. And what they do as well, they're really great at recommending stuff. So if you buy whatever it might be, they'll always put in a personal note saying, "Oh, thanks for picking up this." But
I love that. I love that.
I ordered a Bronx 7 from them because I had a Bronx 7 I bought when I saw them. I think was it the Kerrang tour? No, Fireball tour a few years ago in Bristol, and I ended up snapping the damn thing. And it was like this orange little Bronx 7, and I ended up I was like, fuck, I broke it. So I went on Banquet and they had it, so I ordered it. It came in like 2 days, and there was a little note saying, "Oh, if you like this, you might enjoy this." And it was handwritten on like a torn piece of paper. I was like, that's nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's cool service,
Yeah,
I love that when you get that from bands as well, though, when you order something and they'll leave like a little note and saying thank you and stuff like that. That makes my day every time.
I get it from John.
Something extra.
Huh?
Like a koozie or something. They'll throw in like whatever it might be, like an old 7-inch or something. That's really.
I ordered some stuff from Disconnect recently. John's a good friend of mine. I've done a lot of written work for him over the years. And I ordered the remaster of Winning Streak's first album and the new one from him, and it arrived a couple of days ago. And he always, I remember once we were watching the MPF live stream, and sometimes I just, on the live chats, I just type the word nutritional when I'm enjoying something. It's a little joke. And I remember John like laughing at that on the next message thing on the live stream. So I got this record the other day that said Matt Nutritional Spear on it. And it's just the little touches you get from labels and shops and stuff, like in person, online, or whatever, that I think adds a real depth to the record collecting for me.
Yeah, and I get that it's online as well. Like I follow Scott Brassneck Records.
I love Scott. Scott's a hero.
Great, isn't he? He always kind of will like or comment on stuff that I put up, and he recommends stuff too. So I bought a lot of stuff off the back of just like recommendations from that as well. So it's going back to that kind of, there's so many bands that you can find out online now, isn't it? Like you were saying earlier, Chris, there's so many are out there. And it's so easy to find them now. But again, it's like because there are so many, it's hard to keep up with them. I find Spotify, I'm like, what the hell? I think this song's awesome, and then I forget. I got to write them down because it's so easy to forget what you would just listen to, especially on like a compilation, like playlist or whatever. Because there's so much good stuff out there now.
That's what I think is great about people like Scott, for example. You know, they're doing their own releases, but they're also doing distro as well for lots of places. So Scott, I think he gets all like the Rad Girlfriend stuff.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Pretty much everything that label puts out, I will buy with without hesitation. So you know, I know it comes out a little bit earlier over in the States, but just like waiting for Scott to get it, it's just that's not a problem. You wait a few months, whatever, and he does the the label swap with, I think it's Josh who does.
Yeah,
I love Josh.
Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of people like that that are just doing that sort of thing that just help you keep on top of just tracking what is out there.
He gets a lot of stuff from like the European labels as well, doesn't he? Like the European, like Stardump and Monster Zero and all that stuff, which I love that stuff, and no one else. That's not that big in the UK that I've found, or not in my circles at least.
No,
they've come up in my review lists a lot.
Well, review them, they're great. Because I saw Stardom re-releasing their Methadone's Career Objective album, and they had this really, really nice green variant. And I sort of messaged Scott and sort of expecting he's going to get it in. I was like, are you going to get the black one or just the black one, or are you going to get both? He says, we're probably going to get the black one. But he spoke to Stefan, I think, from Stardom, and he got them to post them that one to Brass Deck as well, especially for me, which I thought, what a nice man. He didn't need to do that. He's just gone out of his way to ask like a pretty cheeky question, and that's the kind of stuff I like. Why we should be support the DIY like stuff as well.
Yeah,
it's
totally
wonderful. I was thinking of variants. What a segue! I'm a professional. Do you favour getting like colour variants over just plain black?
It's tough. I think I like the coloured variants, but I have a few coloured vinyls that the quality on them, sound-wise, is not that good. I'm not going to name names because that's unfair, but I've noticed like my tone arm going a bit mad and waving around a lot, and then I'll put on like a black variant and it's fine. I've noticed that on a few, and I've noticed that on a few lighter variants as well. I know like heavier black is generally better. For example, I've got do you guys know Sober Dave? Heard of Sober Dave?
I'm aware of him.
Sober Dave's fantastic, very prolific songwriter. I've become quite good friends with him this year, and I always usually buy his sevens, and his like 7-inches are so heavy that the quality on them is ridiculous. Like you could kill someone with one of these things, and it's a 45, and it's and I remember chatting to him, and he was saying he could have gone coloured. Because you don't get like you get different coloured sevens, but there's less patterns on them. It's obviously harder to do. But you can get some quite pretty ones. But he said he was going to do it, but he wanted to prioritise sound quality over that on his last few. So I don't know. Sometimes I will buy. I like all the coloured ones, and I usually end up buying them just because they look nice. But I do gravitate towards. I do have phases where I'm gravitating towards black vinyl. But again, it depends what sort of mood I'm in.
It's kind of hard to find it now, though, isn't it? Right? Like, I mean, especially if you're getting like DIY stuff that are only getting a release of 100 or a couple of 100 or whatever.
Well, I think the coloured variants. I think that they'll do smaller batches, and people will, because it's different and it's unique and stuff. Like for example, the Rage Nation's last album, I've got the brass neck one, and I know there was another couple of variants that Josh had at Rad Girlfriend that Scott didn't have, and it's nice that you can get a unique variant to your region. Like my Winning Street pressings are different to the ones that the Canadian Thousand Islands Records are putting out, for example. And I think that because we're human beings and we like exciting things and we like colour and we like difference. I think when someone puts out like a splatter, it's like, oh, I'm having that.
Yeah.
But then it's also a good because it means that the label or the band will sell out those ones quicker, and then they've still got their black variants that they can push at gigs when they happen again and consistently, maybe. So I think it's probably a marketing ploy a lot of the time, but it works for me.
It's definitely marketing, isn't it? Right? I mean, like if you're going to buy a fat record now, it's just horrific. Trying to go on King's Road or whatever within that 2 hours of the window that you get. It's just it's a nightmare. I bought the Get Dead record a few months ago now, but it only showed up this week because I bought something else with it. And when it arrived, I did actually manage to buy the variant, the coloured variant, but it was the black version that they sent me, and I thought, oh, that's a bit crap. So you go on to Discogs and just see, you know, what I'm missing out on, how much are they going for now, and they're already double the price on Discogs, you know, for a record that was only released like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or whatever.
Definitely picked off in it the last few years.
I did see Toby from Red Scare the other day. He made a comment on like an Instagram story saying like Red Scare don't tend to do like color variants because of people who are like getting them and just selling them on, because they're essentially just making profit off of someone else's work. So so they've just mostly only do black vinyl now.
Well, he kept, whenever they do something for Record Store Day, Toby always keeps some back for people just to buy online, doesn't he? So I think in the last few years they did the Teenage Bottle Rocket. I can't remember which one it was. Was it Warning? Maybe they did that. And they did the Menzingers, Chamberlain Waits.
Chamberlain Waits, yeah.
I think this year.
Yeah,
he kept a few back for people to buy online, you know, as a regular customer sort of thing. I always find Red Scares really difficult to get in this country. Yeah,
I found a few on the Juno web store.
Right.
They sometimes have them, but other than that, yeah, I struggle.
Yeah.
The Gunner Records do them in Germany, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Right.
I think Specialist Subject sometimes get the Red Scare stuff in.
They co-released Sam Russo's one, didn't they?
Yes.
They never do the pre-orders, though, do they, for Red Scare stuff? I don't think. Well, I haven't seen them if they do.
No, I don't think so, no. Okay, are we done with variants? Are we moving on? That was also a question from Joelle from Lockjaw as well. She wanted to know about colour variants, so we've answered a question.
Oh, it's interesting as well with the. I was just going to say I don't really care if I buy a coloured variant or a standard black one, because I was just going to say, well, it all sounds the same. It's the same stuff on there, but like you were saying, Matt, I mean, I don't think it is. If you're saying the quality is slightly different, that's something to like maybe think about. Because I don't really care what I get, because I buy it to listen to the music. I don't really buy it to kind of.
Oh yeah.
I know, like my Instagram probably looks different to that. It's like, oh, look at this record that I've got. But it's always a bonus if I've got like a nice color variant. But it doesn't really bother me really if it is or isn't. So it's the same music on there, right?
I do agree. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, even if I'm sat listening to the one I got recently, a couple of months ago, that I thought the quality was a bit off. I just changed the treble on my speakers and stuff, and it sounded a bit better. But in general, I could tell there was a difference. But I was still enjoying it. I was like, this is a good album, you know?
Yeah.
It's the music that I paid for, so I don't really care. And it's nice. I'm holding a piece of history, which is what I wanted to say earlier. I forgot. You know, especially when you're getting underground band stuff. If they break up next week and that vinyl never gets pressed again, you're holding a piece of history. It's not like buying. Like I've got some original, like older Black Flag pressings, but most of my Black Flag pressings are represses. And that's a band that have stood the test of time, history, a bit controversial because of members, but you know what I mean? It's an established name. That's fine. But if it's, you know, Steve and the guy with the guitar, whatever, down the road, and they've released an album, and then it goes tits up, and it's, do you know what I mean? It's history.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Something about it, like I'm holding a piece of history.
Even the guy down the road is a great band name.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say something rude, but I decided against it.
Thanks. So we have sort of quickly got some of our favourite colour variants out that for the YouTube watchers, we'll see. This is going to be rubbish for Spotify, but we could, I guess, describe. This is where we awkwardly.
Is that okay?
Sorry?
I've got 3. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's plenty.
So the first one I've got, which I was really excited about anyway, because I was excited to have it on vinyl anyway. It's the Arteries, the Blood, Sweat and Beers.
Oh, you got that? Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, I only recently got it the last few months, but I remember when they released it, like 2008, my husband went to the release party and he managed to pick up one of the 10 inches there. So that's like a red translucent one. But this one's really pretty. It's like a salmon bubblegummy pink. I don't know if it's showing up. My lighting's pretty crap.
Yeah.
And the design's awesome as well. That's probably my favorite one. But my second favorite, I got actually, because we were talking about Banquet Records, I got this from Banquet Records recently as well. Is Bouncing Souls Crucial Moments, and I just think this is a really nice I like that. It's yellow and black, I think, but it looks more green and blue. Yeah, it's pretty. I think kind of reflects. I think the colours on the actual album cover.
Yeah, the Bouncing Souls. Obviously, Brian does all the artwork, doesn't he? But their records are the ones I'll always buy regardless, just because they look so
Same.
good all the time. Like Brian's art is fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
totally with you on that.
Okay, I got this one that I was going through earlier. It's an Australian band called Foxtrot. This probably does not show up well at all because we're a bit dark. Yeah, I got this and their other album. They both look great. I just going through. That's one of my favorite. I've noticed when I was looking. I like the yellow on the vinyl. For some reason, I think that looks great. So yeah, that's quite a cool one. It's Foxtrot from the album Garn Fishing. If you want to check that out, an Australian band.
Can I show this? This is I'm not sure whether you say FOD or FAD, but whatever it might be, you
No
might
idea.
know better than that. But this is a Belgium band, I think they're from, or Dutch they might be, and I got this just a few weeks ago actually, because it's on the Wiretap record club. So I don't know if you know Wiretap, but they put out good stuff, like Rob over in California, I think he is. He does a deal where if you're in the UK, for example, he'll just save up everything and then post it in one go, so you don't get hit with stupid customs charges as much and all that sort of thing. Anyway, the reason I picked this out is not, well, the splatter itself is great.
Oh, cool.
That's lovely. I like that.
Yeah.
But it also comes, it's kind of like a, well, it's a book. A booklet is the only way you can describe it. It's like I think it's
nice.
a concept album actually, and it's half of it is in English. It's one of those ones where you turn it upside down, and then the other half is in. Again,
I think they're from Belgium.
Flemish.
I think they're from Belgium. Yeah.
Is it Belgium? Is it? Yeah,
I believe so.
So I only got this the other day, and I thought, oh my god, there's like 60 pages here or something. How much does that cost them to actually produce in the first place? My god! And then I've got to sit myself down and actually read for all of that. But I just thought that was really cool.
UBU did something like that for their record last year as well.
Right?
They?
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that.
Yeah. But it's that sort of effort, that they've obviously put into that, and you think, wow, God, just to put out your record for that, you've done all of that for me. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, what have you got, Matt? What's red?
Just because we were talking about it, the brass neck Raging Nathan's.
This is tense.
I like it because it looks like Darth Maul. I'm a big Star Wars fan. But yeah, that is the brass neck one. I actually had the album early. Like Josh messaged me personally. He was like, "Do you want to review it?" I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of cool that you're doing that." But yeah, I love that one. I picked up a few so I could sit, and while you guys were talking, I was going through the pile I've got next to me, trying to decide what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I got probably one of my favourites of the year, which is, I don't really do favourites lists and things, Colin knows, but this would be on it if I do end up doing it. By a band called Blacked Out. They're on Thousand Islands Records, and they got back at it this year. And it's proper me kind of skate thrash sort of thing. But if you just look at it, well, again, Spotify people you can't really see, but like the sort of blue and black on the mic and just everything is one of those records that matches the sleeve completely.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
I like
nice.
when there's a theme.
Yeah.
And it's only 5 tracks, so like it's the same on both sides. So you've got a perfect excuse just to listen to it twice each time. And then
You say they've pressed it on both sides, the same songs?
yeah, I've got loads that are like that.
Wow, never heard of that.
Yeah, a lot of 12 inches that are 12-inch singles or EPs I find are either single-sided, so you've got that lovely sheen on the back where there's no grooves. That is not going back in there. There you go.
Oops.
But yeah, so and then this one I just is the closest thing you'll ever get to the union of vinyl and cheesecake, which is the reissue of Quitters Never Win by Much the Same. Now I actually got to interview Chris McGrath about this, which is a really fun interview. Although I think he hated me by the end of it because I stumped him on a question and he called me a horrible man, I think, or something. But yeah, this one, like that's cheesecake. Tell me that's not cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mental. And it's the production on this, like the remaster, because John Harkis did it, is ridiculously good as well. Really brings the drums out. But yeah, no, I've got a whole pile next to me, and they're the 3 that I settled on.
Oh.
I'm now going to have to really carefully put these back in because I watched a video of Henry Rollins telling you how to get vinyl out of the sleeve, put it on the table and put it back. And on the rare occasion that I've brushed my thumb on one of the grooves, I know that Henry Rollins is hating me wherever he is. Look up the video, it's really funny because it's just classic.
Oh, yeah, I will do.
Henry sees all.
Each time I do it, I always clean my hands before anyway, and I've got like a decent brush and all this other stuff. But each time, and now and again, I have to touch the side or my thumb touches it. I'm like, sorry, Henry. Every single time. I've got a black flag tattoo on my arm, so it makes it even worse.
You know who else is hating you, Matt? All of Poison Ivy. You know their famous quote. I think it's all record collectors are pretentious arseholes. So,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay? This is, you might not want to answer this one, but we're asked, like, what is the most you've paid for a record?
I don't know, but I think it was nearer to 50. I don't know.
Like, excluding custom charges as well, because I know custom charges are the worst thing.
I know which one.
I know exactly my one, Colin. It's, believe it or not, 25 quid. And I paid that for the Ways Away album.
Oh, that's a great album.
It's a brilliant album.
I really enjoyed that.
I remember thinking, wow, that's quite a lot for a new record. Like, and it was a £5 at a post as well. So I thought, oh wow, I'm spending 30 quid here. And I mean, I've never gone more expensive than that.
I will set a limit on, like, I think the most I've paid is, I think it was 35. We've included the postage for the Slapstick album, but that is also a double album, so I can justify it a little bit more.
Oh yeah, no, I
paid
well. 45 euros for. I've got an original American pressing of Sandinista by The Clash, which I found in Madrid of all places. When I was coming back from Asia, we spent 5 days in Madrid just to get back to sort of get used to European culture again and just go somewhere a bit different. And I just stumbled into this record shop and I picked up this Clash vinyl. And the guy just looks at me and he goes, "You English?" I was like, yes. But yeah, no, it's got the original poster. The poster's like this. Again, Spotify people, you can't see this, but I'm waving my arms around like a moron. Yeah, big old poster.
Poster shape for those who can't see us. Rectangle.
Rectangle, yeah, thank you, Colin. Matt is drawing a rectangle in, yeah. But yeah, no, I think, 45 to 50, I think.
Generally, I don't like to spend like too much. Like, I think I spend a lot of my spare time on Discogs, just scrolling through, and I think, you're selling that for that much? Are you kidding me? Like, I think some people just like put way too much emphasis on the fact that they're selling a record. But saying that, I did spend about £60 on one, but it was the Manic Street Preachers Holy Bible 20th year anniversary box set. So it was a box set of it, and it comes with like 4 CDs and like a booklet and stuff as well. So that was the most I've spent on one. But other than that, generally I don't really like to pay more than like 30 quid, I think.
Yeah.
Including postage. So yeah, even if it's something that I really like, because I've got on my one that I've been looking at is the Muffs Blonder and Blonder, and that comes up every now and again for like 35, 40 quid. But I don't know, like, even for a blue variant, I'm not sure about 40 quid, you know?
I saw the Mad Caddies album at Just One More on Discogs recently. It's like 160 quid or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I think I'd get killed if I was to get that in the post. And I was like, how much is that?
I think I ordered, last Bandcamp day, I ordered directly from Rad Girlfriend, actually. I ordered the House Ghost LP, which is one of the guys from the Raging Nathans, and a couple of others. It's kind of melodic, kind of like poppy kind of punk, but it's all like horror themed based, like without going overboard like the Misfits did. So they're one of those bands that have just pulled off that sort of quirky horror thing without too much sort of grandiose stuff. And I ordered that, and I ordered one of the Sevens that I didn't have in the Raging Nathans. I've got a few of them. Which one was it? Oh, the one with oh god, I've forgotten. The cover's black with red bits on it. One of the recent splits they did, and that cost me a little bit more. I think, but that's because it was shipping from the US. But it was actually a really good price for the shipping. I thought it was going to be astronomically bad, but it wasn't. It was just about within the boundaries of how we're talking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
As
buy?
part of-
Go on,
I
Chris.
did look up on Discogs what the most expensive punk record on there was for sale, and it's a Screeching Weasel test press, and it's $30,000.
What?
Seriously.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
obviously that blows your mind, right? But also as well, when the Misfits reformed, and I thought, oh, should I really, really push the boat out and go and see them? And I never did because, you know, obviously it's expensive and, you know, you've got to go to America and da-da-da-da-da. But I remember at the time there was a Misfits 7-inch for sale as well on Discogs, and that was about $1,000 or something. And I remember saying to a friend, oh my God, look, you know, you could afford to fly to America, stay in a hotel, go to the gig, go and see them, all for the same price as buying a 7-inch record, you know.
That's mental.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
mad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. But do you buy many 7-inches, or because I'm very much I buy I brought the All Deep Ends 7-inch from Make That a Take this year. I think that's maybe the only one. I don't because like the whole process of listening to a record is like putting it on, doing the flip over. Like with a 7-inch, you put it on, you've sat down, you got to get up and change it again. So I can never be bothered with 7-inches.
You know what? I'm trying to train myself into it more. I mean, I've got a few, and I've started buying more. A lot of it's because when you're buying DIY bands, a lot of them can only oppress for monetary reasons on their part. So I mean, I'm going to buy like a little box, I think, so I can have all mine in, because where my record table is, my 10-inches are on their side next to one of the 12-inch crates. But I can see those, but my 7-inches normally sit in that gap. So what I've done now is I've just taken them out, and they're just on the floor, like stood up, facing me wherever I am. So I notice them more, so I put more of them on. And sometimes I'll just sit there and put loads on. But I'm a bit like you. I'd rather just have a couple of 12s on that day, and that'd be it. So I'm going to try and find a way of storing my 7s more, so I use them more. But I have started buying more. I remember when I was in this random record shop in Shrewsbury with my ex-girlfriend a few years ago, and we'd been around the town. Lovely little place, actually, Shrewsbury. And we went into this old school covered market, and there was loads of old record shops. And I went into one, and I found this really, really old Good Riddance pressing.
Wow.
Original, yeah, really. When you're all talking, I'll just go down there and get it because it's right there. And then I found a 7-inch of Join the Ranks and Generation Lost and Rise Against, which again, that's never going to be pressed again on that little 7. And then I went into this other shop, and as it turns out, over 2 days I spent £400. But I've been paid on the second day, and I saved some money up. I saved about 200 up, and then I got paid, and I was getting paid every 2 weeks at this point in this job, and I was getting like 80 quid like card tips a week, and I just splurged all on records, and I went in, as it turns out, this bloke had this huge shipment come in from this guy that he funny enough he was at a wake a few months before, and this dead guy's wife came up to him and said, "Oh, you've got a record shop, haven't you?" He's like, yeah, and they knew each other somehow, and they ended up selling them on to him. And it was literally, I must have walked out with like a stack that size, and it was everything from like Banner Pilot, Comeback Kid, Rise Against, Only Crime, Black Flag. There was a Pennywise album I didn't have, just loads. And it was all this stuff that it must have been almost every big release or popular band from like 2001 until about 2015. It was ridiculous. I've never walked into a shop and had, why is my entire music taste in here? Obviously, I've listened to different things now. But I don't know if you guys have ever had that.
No.
But it was ridiculous. I don't even remember what the shop was called, but it was insane.
That's crazy.
I think the only time that's happened to me was when we were in Fest at Fest in Gainesville a few years ago, and but there was an Arrow's Aim Records, which is sadly closed now. But I'm assuming because it was like Fest was on, they made sure they shipped in a lot of punk records because they knew that the town was just going to be filled with punks.
Yeah.
So my suitcase came back a lot heavier than it left England with, like.
Yeah, that definitely happened to me when I went to Fest. I've only been once, but my God, you need to take at least 2 suitcases with you.
I know you were planning on going this year as well, weren't you, Chris? Like I was like already thinking like ahead, like what I'll maybe take a rucksack for clothes and then just a suitcase.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, right? Because otherwise we've got these custom charges that we've already complained about.
They are the worst, right?
I found it, by the way. There we go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like really old. It's got
For YouTube, Matt is showing a Good Riddance
Yeah.
7-inch.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's got 12-year Circus free on it, and it's I couldn't believe it. I'm a big Good Riddance fan anyway. It was in good condition. Like, the sleeve's a little bit torn, but the actual vinyl was fine. But yeah, Fat 524. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing what you find. And it wasn't even a shop that had a lot of punk either.
Was that the one in Shrewsbury that you? I think I know where that is, because I've been to Shrewsbury a few times, and it's quite good for record shopping. There's quite a few good records. There's White Rabbit Records there, which is I never kind of leave empty-handed there.
Is that the one that's in like the shopping centre on the bottom floor?
Right, White Rabbit is in. It's kind of like an indoor market, and it's upstairs. But there is another one, there is another one that's sort of outdoors on its own, but as part of a market that's outdoors, I think. It's got like gig posters up in there. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, Shrewsbury is surprisingly really good for such a kind of well-to-do town, I guess. Like, you know, yeah, awesome. But really with like 7-inches and stuff, I've only recently started buying more of them. I'm the same. I usually just kind of stick on like a 12-inch, and that's because you're gonna do less kind of admin with it, I suppose. But I've recently started playing, like I posted more like the last couple of days on my Instagram of 7-inches that we've got, because I went to Kelly's Records and spent about 40 quid on them a few weeks ago. So yeah, I think I go through phases with them. I definitely don't have as many 7-inches as I've got of the full albums. I've probably only got like, I don't know, a handful in comparison, not many at all. Yeah, but I do want to kind of get more, because like you said, it's like the DIY punk stuff. That's kind of where you're going to find more of them. But yeah, I need to work on it.
Right, okay, we're running out of time again because we talk a lot, and so adverts. Right, so Colin's Punk Rock World is still putting out album reviews and not gig reviews at the moment, obviously, but we've got some on there if you want to go back in time and remember the good old days when gigs happened. We also do CPRW Records, where we release digital compilations on Bandcamp that raise money for a whole host of charities, including IMCAN, Mind, Crisis, Fair Share, Macmillan, some other ones. But just check that out on Bandcamp, CPRW Records, and we'll join you again in a second. Hello, welcome back to the third and final part of this podcast about vinyl. So continue on the vinyl chat. Do you have like a holy grail of vinyls you still need to get?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you've been following me for a little while on Instagram, it's kind of like this running joke that I never seem to be able to get hold of Mass Murder by all. I know that I'm wearing the shirt, but obviously of a different record, but that's the one that I've wanted for a long time, and it specifically the orange limited edition they brought out, the orange pressing of it. But I'll just take the standard black, especially after what we were talking about earlier about kind of like possible kind of sound quality, possible problems with it. But that's kind of that's mine. That's one where, you know, that's the first one when I go on Discogs every day. That's the first one I go and check for. That's the first one I'll look for online if I'm kind of, you know, after payday or whatever, when I'm looking for to buy a record. So that's mine, and it has been for a long time. I love that record. It's one of my favorites that it's been one of my favorites since I first discovered them, and I first heard them on Punkorama 3 on that compilation, and since then from that time I've loved them. And I actually did a podcast with Talking Records about the Mass Murder album as well, but I just can't get hold of it. And I've got people I follow sharing pictures of it, like just to piss me off. So that's my one. That's mine. But also more close to home, I tried to get as well both the Lightyear records, because I just don't have them, and I know they sold out of Call of the Weasel Clan. I can't find it anywhere. And then I actually placed an order with Banquet for Chris Gentleman's that one, and
That one, yeah.
that one, the one with the long title. But I bought it, but then they must have sold out of it because they refunded me for it. So that's those two are also on my
Yeah.
list.
Banquet's where I got both of the Lightyear records from.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the lookout for them, but
Yeah, because Call of the Weasel Clan's quite interesting in that it doesn't actually have the proper artwork. It's just blank.
oh, really?
Yeah, if you ever see like the CD version of it, or I think it's on Spotify as well. Like there's weasels playing
Yeah, I've got the CDs. Yeah.
instruments, but yeah, on the actual vinyl, it's just blank.
Oh.
There's no.
Okay.
It's like just the background colors and.
Huh. Oh, well, I kind of want it more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So those are mine anyway. Those are mine. They have been for a little while.
I've got quite a few.
Well, I think Max stack. So go for it.
Well, a couple of them are from way back, really. So I think the biggest one that I'm after at the moment is the Enemy U album. I think it's when no one knows my name, I think it's called. It came out maybe on Lookout Records or something, like early 2000s, I would guess. That's what I'm after at the moment. And then there's a few by Teenage Bottle Rocket that I haven't got. I haven't got Total.
Their best album.
Yeah. And then the live one as well, I haven't got. So I'm after that. I think Clearview recently reissued that, actually, and I didn't get it because it went really quickly, and just didn't get a chance to get it. The Oscar album as well, Treatment 5. They're another short-lived band from probably the early 90s, actually, and I think that was their second album, and I never managed to get hold of that. So they're probably my big three. But also, like Lara, I would love a copy of two All albums, actually, the Problematic one and Mass Murder.
Those are the two I'm missing as well. Yeah.
And I think, are they both on Epitaph? I don't know. Like, they're never going to get reissued, I don't think. Or not for the foreseeable, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and the other one I want actually is is a copy of Mush by Leatherface, which I know there were so many out there, but I had the original when it was first released because I'm that old, and I bought it from Reckless Records in Islington, and at the time it didn't come with a cover, so my copy is a first pressing, but it doesn't have the cover with it, and I want to try and track down that original cover.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I actually have any like Holy Grail now. Like when I started collecting, I had 5 that I had to get. It was important. Nothing else mattered in the world. And like the last one was How I Spent My Summer Vacation, The Bouncing Souls.
Yeah.
I could not find that record anywhere. And back when we were in Gainesville for Fest, I was in not Arrow's Aim, the other one. I forgot the name of, but I spent more money there. And we found it, and I must have celebrated like I just scored a goal at football. I was so excited. Like the man, like who was running the store, came running over and was like, "Oh, we've got this Bouncing Souls one on the on this Bouncing Souls." Like, I got them. I've literally been around the world looking for this album now. I finally had it. So that was probably my biggest like Holy Grail album at the time, but I managed to get it, so that was nice.
It's such a good feeling, isn't it, when you especially when you find them in the wild, because you can Google something and buy it online relatively easily. But when you kind of go to a record store and you find something and you pick something up and you're like, I didn't expect to find this here. Yeah, it's the best feeling ever.
That's the noise I made.
That's the noise I make every time.
Yeah. And I find like I give people like side eye if they come near me when I've got it out, just when I put it down to look through other stuff.
Yeah, so this is my pile. Go away.
Yeah, definitely given evil. I'm sure I've growled a few times to keep people away from me. Yeah, so yeah.
I think I'm going to seem like a bit of a philistine, really, but I don't really use Discogs. I remember I bought some off Colin. I bought some off Jack Genovese recently.
Oh, yeah.
I bought a couple of Straight Line albums off him. I couldn't find them anywhere. I didn't have the money to pay for the represses at the time. I bought a couple of him. That's the only time I've ever used it, so I probably should use it. I tend to just buy stuff if I see it, if I like it, and because I buy so much off Bandcamp and off DIY bands and normally at merch tables.
Yeah.
If I want it, I'll buy it.
That is a very good source for buying records, like especially the Subject, because they take used records as well, don't they? And they put all them on the Discogs page, and you can get some really good stuff on there.
There are also producers, actually.
Yeah, there are also people who will try and fleece you. You've got to be careful of that. But
of course, yeah. I don't know about those records. I think I own a lot of them. Like, there's a few albums which, by bands that I've got tattooed on me, for example, that I got those tattoos because of those albums. Like, there's the odd albums that got me where I needed to be. It's like, I have my first tattoo was a Pennywise tattoo, for example. So I've got the album About Time because that was the album that really got me. It's not my favourite Pennywise album. That's actually From the Ashes. So I would like
me too.
To find it.
No one ever agrees with me. That's why I love you, man.
From the Ashes is fantastic. But again, I don't spend all my time listening to Pennywise like the meme usually is. I don't listen to them that often, but they're one of my key bands that put me on this path. So I own that one. My favourite Green Day album, which is Insomniac. Because Stuck With Me is my favourite song of all time, or one of them anyway. So I've got that. I'd like Nimrod, but I don't have it. So the more I talk about it, I could probably think of some. But because when I started collecting records, it was, I'm going to get a vinyl collection. I like this band, so I'm going to buy it. Like one of my first records was one of Off's albums, and it's my least favourite Off album. But because I like Off, and I'd seen them a few months before going to Australia, I was like, right, I'm going to get this. So if I carried on talking, I could probably think about it a bit more, and I could probably provide a few more names. But I was looking for Damage by Black Flag for a long time. What I've got is a repress, and I found it a Special Subject. But it was one of those albums that if I see it anywhere, I'm going to buy it. And then once I decided that, I didn't see it anywhere. Same with Fever Hunting by Modern Life is War. I like Modern Life is War, fantastic live. The only records I've got of theirs are Feels Like End Time 7, which I got when they played The Exchange, and I've got Fever Hunting, because that's the one album of theirs I always go back to, even though I do enjoy the rest of them. So again, like I've said before, it's all about sort of situational tastes for me at the time. But yeah, I don't know. I find it really hard. I know I'm babbling incessantly now, and I apologise to everyone listening, but I find that a really hard question to answer. I can answer it to varying lengths, but I can't give you like a definitive list.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It is kind of like how you're feeling at the time, isn't it? Because I find sometimes I go through phases with music genres. Sometimes like I have like a core like genre that I prefer to listen to, but it's within that, even like you can move around with bands that you really, really want. But Mass Murder for me is the one that I've always wanted to have. But Lightyear, I think, although they're one of my favourite bands from the UK, it's still like I'll go for a few months where I'll really, really want those records, and I'll kind of drop off on the interest, and then it'll come back a few months later. So I think you're right. It kind of depends how you're kind of feeling at the time, isn't it?
It's like when you listen to something and then it's the catalyst again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Are there any like records that have never been pressed on vinyl that you desperately want?
Yes. Right, and if my partner can hear me, she's going to laugh because again, it's a small flat. But I'm obsessed with a Swedish band called Bash Brothers. Like their 2019 album I got early. I reviewed it early, and then like I said earlier, I left it alone for 6 months. And then during the first lockdown and beginning of the year, when I was having a particularly hard time, that was the album that just sort of picked me up and allowed me to see through everything, and it's got quite a special place for me now. But regarding to my kind of music taste, I mean, like I said earlier, I like everything, but I generally listen to skate punk is my thing, especially the more techie, slightly thrash-infused stuff. Not a big fan of thrash, which is really weird, but crossover thrash and thrashy skate punk I enjoy. But yeah, it's this for me. It's like this perfect sort of skate punk melodic hardcore album, and the drumming on it is just ridiculous. The guitar tone and Johan, the vocalist's voice, just kind of so intrinsic to each other that if I could have that on vinyl, I would. And I swear, at one point I thought it was on vinyl, but it turns out it was just CD and it was a mistake. And although I am going to buy a CD player again when I get a bigger place to live, if I could own that on vinyl, I would pay through the teeth to have that. Just because if you've never heard that album or that band, all their releases are good, but that album is ridiculous, and they're writing at the moment, and I think they've only got a few bits left to do. And if they top it, I'll be, I don't know how they're going to do it, but if I could own that, I'd just I'd even have to buy two, one just to have in a frame and one to play. But yeah, I may sound like a bit of a fanboy, and I probably am, but yeah, I'm utterly obsessed with it. I'd love to own that.
So you like Bash Brothers, yeah?
Oh, I hate them. But yeah, that would be mine, I think.
I think for me, like going back to like one of the first questions is like what we are we listening to at the moment, and I was saying like oh, it's the nostalgic stuff that I used to listen to when I was younger. What I don't think it's on vinyl. I can't find it anywhere. I've been looking for it. Is Useless IDs. I think it's from 2001. It's Bad Story, Happy Ending. It's like a really kind of classic pop punk album. I think it was brought out on Kung Fu. I first heard them when they did a split with the Ataris, and that's how I kind of got into Useless ID. But I used to listen to the album a lot when I was younger, and it's kind of, you know, that classic like mid 90s kind of like early 2000s pop punk kind of voice kind of sound, and it just makes me feel really good and listen to it, really nostalgic. But that's for me, that's one that I really want to get, just because I used to listen to it so much when I was younger, and I don't even know if it would sound any good on vinyl, because you know, like some stuff lends itself better to being on record than and I don't think it would sound that great, but it's just more because like it means something to me that I would like it in my collection.
Yeah, be a nice memento.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be really, even if like I don't play it, I probably will. But yeah, that's mine. I don't think I can't find it anywhere, so I'm assuming that it's not. So I've got about 3 copies on CD, but yeah, no vinyl, sadly.
Yeah, mine, I can't remember which way around it is, but whatever the Enemy U album is that was only released on CD, obviously I'd like to get that on vinyl. I think it's Stories Never Told or something like that. I think it was on Red Scare.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever went on vinyl, so that would be my one, I think. And then I have seen it, I think, the Bad Astronaut album. I think, did they do 1 or 2? Does anyone know? I don't know.
I feel
one
like
of them might be in
2, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, it's the Joey Cape.
Yeah, John Snodgrass, isn't it as well?
Yeah, and I don't know why that is so difficult to find, or why that has never been repressed, because I think it was on Fat. So
yeah,
why
was it like Honest Dons, which was like a subsidiary of Fat?
Right. Okay.
But it's just still they released, because they released a lot of the Nerf Herder stuff, and that's all on vinyl. So
yeah, you would think that, you know, that would be an obvious one, because people talk about that all the time, and you know, I can't imagine Joe Cape, you know, would be putting a blocker on it, but you know, maybe
they're waiting for like an anniversary of its release or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But I've been thinking about this a lot at work all week, because I thought this is a good question. Well, and I patted myself on the back a lot. And like, well, the 2 like main ones, like for like current bands, are like Call Me Malcolm's "I Was Broken When We Got Here," which is probably the best UK ska punk album of the last 10 years, and just that it makes me sad that's not on vinyl. And then Just Say Nay's new album, or it came out a year ago now, Maximum Effort, which again is just incredible, like UK ska punk album that deserves that, like the vinyl release. They're probably the 2 like newer ones, but I think with the Maximum Effort, the final song on that is like 8 minutes long, which I think would probably put it like over like the length of music you can put on a vinyl. So they just have to do that as like a 7-inch on the side, maybe. I don't know, but
I don't know, mate. Do you own a Rash Decision album? Do you know how many tracks they squeeze on those?
No. But how short are they?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. And then I was sort of thinking, like, when I was like getting into UK, like a punk, it was probably like the early 2000s and like around that era. And I don't think they were releasing as many records on vinyl at the time, because it was pretty much done. So stuff like the Sponge discography is not on vinyl. But I do have a Jump on Demand 7-inch that I got in Japan, which made me really excited. And then like Jesse James, Fletcher, bands like that, are like albums I adore, and like made a big part of my life, like getting into punk music and growing up. I'd love to have them on vinyl, but
that's a good shout, guys. Yeah, good shout.
We have a sub question. How off the top of your head, without really thinking about it, how many albums of those albums do we own, do you think, between so each? So like, of those ones that made a big impact on you?
What, on CD or vinyl?
Well, just we'll say records, but how many, if you had to think about it quickly, how many do you think of those do you have?
I've got the Lightyear records from that era, like 90s Less Than Jake stuff. Oh, it's just... I was nice enough to not put everyone on the spot and think the questions.
Staging a coup.
Damn you. Not as many as I'd like would be my answer to that,
Okay.
because they don't exist. I don't
I
know
think
how much.
that's a funny one, isn't it? I think we're the time that we're in, where vinyls had such a resurgence. Obviously, it never really went away, but it was downsized quite a lot. When you hear about albums you were listening to 15 years ago, oh, there's actually a vinyl and there's actually an original pressing. Like, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, I think it's more so for American bands rather than UK ones.
There's a lot of stuff, random stuff that you just didn't think. I mean, I found. Do you remember Black Hole? It was one of the other Carter brothers.
No.
Right, so a band called Black Hole. So it's one of Frank and Steph's brothers, and they release like one album and a couple of singles. And there's a 7-inch of this single, which no one knows about, which I managed to find in this shop in St Nick's Market in Bristol. And when I picked it up, I was like, we're living in an age where, because vinyl's come back, there's so much stuff you just didn't know was on it. And I find that for me, I find that quite terrifying. That's probably why I'm so bad at looking for stuff, because I'm just kind of too distracted by everything that's coming up now.
Yeah.
Get on Discogs, mate.
Maybe
Save some money up first and have a special account just for Discogs. And don't worry about room in your flat. That'll be an issue. But right, I think I've got a couple more questions left before I leave you to it. Yeah, how do you organise your vinyl? Because I assume you've all got stacks. Like, is it like alphabetical order, or do you
alphabetical and then release order?
Yeah,
Correct.
So like, yeah, release order within. I can see my Dead Kennedys records from here, for example, and Fresh Fruits at the front, and then I've got Give Me Convenience and In God We Trust behind it, obviously. So that's how I would do it. Although I'm a little bit dyslexic, so when I have to put them back, I really have to think about it.
Yeah, mine is alphabetical, but it is not that well sorted. Like,
it gets worse the more you get.
Well, yeah, quite. I mean, mine are spread over 2 rooms, so I have. It's not like I've got A to S in one room and then T to Z in the other. So yeah, it's quite hard like that. And also as well, I can group bands together, but putting them in order of release, no chance.
I have to. I'm far too anal about that kind of thing. That it needs to be in. I remember when I moved in with Emma, and obviously we combined our record collections. The first thing I did, unpacking wise, rather than clothes or anything useful, it was put the records in order.
Yep.
Just because I can't. My head doesn't. I'm not even a tidy person by any stretch, but my records have to be in order, or I can't settle.
Mm.
Now, I have a story from when I lived at home. I broke my leg, and I just had this stack. Most of my CDs at the time were all in the unit, and I couldn't really get up to sort them. And my friend came around to visit me, and he knows how OCD I can be about it, and he just started moving stuff around, knowing that I couldn't do anything about it. He's an idiot. But things have to be in order. How do you decide what you're going to listen to?
I don't know. I think it's that whole spark in inspiration thing. Sometimes I'll go through each box, pick out 3 or 4, leave them in a pile, and then listen to them sequentially. Or if I'm suddenly inspired to listen to, I don't know, the Run Up or something, then I'll go and get my Run Up records out.
Yeah, I think it depends on the day I'm having. Sometimes, because I work from home, so I can chuck Spotify on. I work in marketing, so I haven't got to have any kind of phone calls or anything. So I usually have Spotify in the background. So sometimes it'll be I'll listen to something on there that I'll have on vinyl. Then when I finish work, I'll put it on vinyl as well when I kind of get downstairs. But sometimes I'll just kind of pick out a couple at lunchtime that I want to listen to after work, and then I'll choose from that what I want to put on. But I think it depends how I feel. If I'm if it's a miserable day or something, I'll usually put something kind of easier to listen to on. I like to put Idlewild on when it's really miserable out, because I think it fits quite nicely. But usually, I don't know, I find I just kind of look through the whole collection and just pick stuff out and then go from there. Yeah. I don't really have a routine or anything like that. It's usually just what I'm listening to, and I'll listen to it on vinyl too.
Yeah, it kind of depends what's come through the door that week, I think.
Oh yeah.
I do know what you mean there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I listen to that, and then afterwards I put on Banner Pilot, and then that'll be me done for the day.
And like, I know on if you got the Discogs app on your phone,
Hmm.
because that's got a feature on it. If you look in your collection and shake your phone, it will randomly pick an album.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So we
Hang on, I'm gonna go on now.
will like randomly. That's how we'll pick what we're going to list because we've got.
Do you know what? I might have to invest
Yeah.
more time in Discogs.
And
now.
it has, look,
Yeah,
the bouncing souls. That's crazy.
yeah. So that's how quite often we're like, what do we want to listen to? And it's
This
just
video was brought to you by Discogs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like just spent ages shaking phones, going, "Oh look, this is a really good record that I
That's
own."
so cool. Oh my god.
Oh,
I'm gonna show my husband, he's gonna be amazed at this.
no,
Yeah.
but does this mean I've now got to enter all of my collection on Discogs because I?
Yeah, it won't work if you just got one thing on there. That would be kind of rubbish. There we go.
That's so cool.
We've changed worlds today on the Colin's Folk Rock World podcast. Okay, I feel like I had more questions, but I feel like I've also run out. Yeah. So, you want to plug any more shops? Because that'll be like online shops. I want to shout out Pookout Records, who have started this year or late last year, who like do a lot of ska punk records, who which have always been quite hard to get in the UK for like the underground American bands. They're bringing them over, like bands like Kill Lincoln and Omnigon and Catbite, and so Pookout Records, obviously a play on Lookout Records. That's run from by Pook, who's in the Filaments and Redeeman, and just lovely guy. So love to Pookout Records.
To be honest, there's just so many decent labels in the UK now that are doing good work. I mean, I know Lockjaw are pretty prolific. Disconnect, again, to mention John. I really like what he's doing. My friend Jordan Calvey, who runs Quad Records in Europe, I've known Jordan for years, and we collaborate on like Spotify playlists. We've, when in the his 5-year celebration, I interviewed all the bands for the compilation. Which actually, that compilation, all the proceeds go to Solidarity Not Silence, and that's from all the streaming and the physical sales of like the tape and the shirts and the booklets and stuff. So if you like sort of quite a genre fluid label, I check out Quad Records. I do order a lot from Jordan, like most Bandcamp days I'll order something. And he's one of these people that just works tirelessly, absolutely tirelessly, and he's an amazing guy. So yeah, definitely Quad Records I'd like to shout out.
Yeah, I would say there's I mean, apart from those ones that you mentioned in the UK, there's a few in Europe as well that are really good. So Shield in Holland, I think are great. Bearded Punk in Belgium.
Yeah. I met Bjorn, who does Bearded Punk, a couple of years ago. He was at Polite Riot Festival. Loveliest man. Loveliest man.
Yeah, no, they're great. And then we mentioned Gunner, is it?
Gunner, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Gunner if they're German.
Yeah, in Germany. So all those three are really great, and they, not only their own stuff, but all their distro stuff as well is really good. Really great prices, great service, good people.
Thousand Islands Records as well, actually. I know I mentioned him earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, mine's just gonna be Brass Neck, like we mentioned earlier, just because of the services, and it's so the price is really good on there as well. So yeah, support DIY and all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
While we're throwing them out there, I'll shout out TNS Records in Manchester.
Oh, God, yeah, well, that just goes without saying, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, who also helped put on Manchester Punk Festival. So TNS, and again, Bev and Andy are two of the best people you're ever going to meet in punk rock.
Absolutely.
Love them. And Make That a Take in Scotland, Derek and his team. Again, just wonderful, wonderful people. Put out incredible, like Scotland has, for such a small country, has so many amazing bands.
Oh, completely.
So we went up to Book Your Own Fest last year, and just there were so many new bands that we'd never seen, and came away loving every single one of them. So, and obviously they're at the moment, I mean, all the labels are probably going through a pretty tricky time at the moment, but Make That a Take, they also like put on shows and run Conroy's Basement and the vegan fast food place Rad Apples that they've opened in December of last year. So they've literally opened maybe 3 months before lockdown hit them. So if you can support Make That a Take and all the other labels, that'd be fantastic. Thanks. All right, and before we finish, so we just ask you guys to recommend a band each for people to go and check out.
Yeah, mine's I've kind of gone about them a little bit on my Instagram. I'm going to recommend Swan Prince. They brought out their first album this year on with Brassneck, called Hell on Earth, and it's kind of melodic, skate punky, kind of no use for a name sort of sound, kind of early Fat Wreck sort of vibes to it. And they're really, really nice people. I saw them for the first time. I found them, and when I first saw them, they were supporting the Bomb Pops. When the Bomb Pops did sort of like in between gigs, when they were kind of doing the Punk in Drublic tour. So we watched them. We saw them in Birmingham, and yeah, I really, really like them. They're really nice people, and I just thought it was really cool to have a band that I found like that, because like I said in one of my YouTube videos, I've been kind of away from the whole UK scene since like my husband's band stopped playing. So yeah, that was cool. So I'm going to recommend them, and they're really great people as well. Really, really nice people. Yeah. Oh, and they sent me a test pressing of the record when I pre-ordered it, so they're awesome.
A band called Shiva that I featured a little while ago. They're sort of hardcore band from the States, and they're just got such a. The album's called Groove, and the way that they put the word groove into all their songs, that the songs are actually quite serious, is quite clever. But it's this kind of real kind of stripped back old school hardcore, not too abrasive, but it's got like the sort of very sort of rigid breakdowns of like the early Black Flag stuff, but it's got that kind of ethereal melodic guitar work that Dag Nasty sort of started with and then pushed even further. So it's a nice mix. It's kind of got that kind of proto melodic hardcore thing that you kind of got from Discord Records, a few other bands at that sort of time. They're brilliant. It's such a good little EP. I know I've mentioned a lot of bands today, but yeah, that's definitely one you should absolutely check out.
Cool, thanks.
I am going to say Modern Shapes.
Oh,
yeah, I was listening to those earlier.
I mean, it's ironic because I don't think they've actually put out any vinyl release yet, but they did a EP earlier this year. It's just really great pop punk in the vein. Well, anyone that calls themselves after a Banner Pilot record is going to be brilliant for me.
Yeah.
So,
completely agree.
They're from Southeast London, where I'm from. So yeah, you should check out them.
Have you seen them yet?
No, I haven't. No, I think they were going to do one of the festivals at the Amersham Arms.
Maybe, yeah.
And I mean, so many things got pulled, right? But
yeah,
that was where I was planning to see them, and yeah, obviously fell through.
Yeah, I think they were playing the Triple Sunday gig at Amersham that was cancelled in March. I think they were on that one. Yeah. But love to Triple Sunday, by the way. My band is not Triple Sunday. I love them though. Triple Sunday is going to be All Depends, who are from Scotland, who are one of the most exciting bands I've seen in ages. So unique, so like just a combination of like folk, hardcore, a bit of rap. It's just like they're one of these bands I find really hard to describe, but their sound, because they're such a unique band, but really, really good, loads of energy. They released their 7-inch My Name Is, or Make That a Take, so check that out, because it's my probably favorite EP that has been released this year, and I will argue with anyone who thinks I'm wrong. Okay, Lara, because we're about to run out of time, you just touched on it about your YouTube channel. Do you want to plug that before we all say cheerio?
Yeah, cool. I've got a YouTube channel I just started maybe about a month ago. I've got some videos on there. I'm not very regular at putting them up. I'm not plugging this very well. It's not like a review channel. It's more of I have this record and I'm going to tell you kind of what I think about it, but not in like a reviewy sort of way. It's more sort of that what impact the record's had on me, and maybe putting that record contextually into why it came into existence, I suppose. It's mostly punk stuff. Maybe I'll put some indie on there when I run out of stuff I want to talk about. But yeah, it is Let's Talk Tunes on YouTube. So that's it. And I post maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. And yeah, it's like 10-20 minute long videos of me just kind of talking about my records, which I don't know if it's very interesting. I'm not plugging this very well.
I've watched a couple and I found them fantastic. I really, really enjoyed them.
Oh, awesome.
Like I remember spending lunch breaks at work, like watching your videos, and like they're really, like you say, they're not reviews, but they're just really insightful, like bits of, I guess, like history of like why you like this band, and I definitely recommend checking it out.
Thank you very much.
It's got a much better production value than this as well, so that's always there's like a bit of a theme tune and an opening graphics, and we have.
I get really lazy with editing. I haven't bothered doing a lot of it lately. I just kind of chuck it into this like editing thing, and that's it. I don't bother. I used to put like little screenshots of the records and the bands that I was, so you could see when I say like, oh, Les and Jake, you can see a picture of Les and Jake popping up here, but can't be bothered to do that now.
Yeah,
it's
effort.
It is effort. That's the problem.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think we'll wrap this up before we time out again. So thanks to Lara, Matt, and Chris for spending the afternoon talking about vinyl records with me.
Anytime.
Check out Ear Nutrition is the best punk rock blog in the country. Then go check out Colin's Punk Rock World.
Which is just good.
For smaller words. Yeah, check out Let's Talk Tunes. Check out Lara and Chris on Instagram, Vinyl Systems and Lara.robs. And yeah, I feel like I need a proper, like when Sarah does her Shout Louder podcast, she's like, see you down the front. I need something like that. If you've got anything you can
see you on Zoom
suggest, then please send them my way. Not see you on Zoom. That's rubbish. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Bye.
Yeah, it's been cool.